morning, everybody. I'm Pancho. This is, I don't know, maybe my seventh or eighth time here in the D&AD. I'm from Argentina, and it's the first time they invited me to moderate a panel, a session. So forgive my English. And one of the things we're talking about relates with the jury sessions, with the jury process, because we are a little example of what happened there. I'm from Argentina, Pele is from Sweden, Anna is from Brazil. None of us use English as its native language. So the first question for me is, what happened in the jury? How is the jury? How was the jury session? How international was it? And let you talk about this subject.
Yeah, it was very international. We had delegates from, or jurors from, it was Taiwan, China, Germany, France, 2 Brazil, 1 Sweden, 1 England, 1 UK, yeah. And it was, I think what we found was there are different ways, obviously, that gives lots of interesting diversity of ways to judge and ways to think about. So some of the guiding principles we found was, one is, I think it's very British, which is a long walk for a ham sandwich, is when you tell a story, the reward doesn't feel as great when you get there because it was too long of a journey. Yeah. Something that we discussed when it comes to filmmaking. Another one is a Swedish one, which is cake on cake, or tårta på tårta in Swedish, which is that a cake doesn't become better if you put another cake on it. Mm-hmm. It becomes a bit of a mess. So when the purity of idea and simplicity always wins. So we try to see, when you add things and you do more things. I think that was some of the insights we found.
And what's lovely having people from all around the world in the room as well is and I know it's a cliche to say this, but it's a cultural context that the jury brings into the room sometimes to, explain things about that region, be it Asia or South America or even North America that we all think we're very familiar with. But it's nice having those voices to kind of erase any questions or doubts. So it's always good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
got fire alarm in the back again. It's the storytelling.
That's
yeah.
In anything.
Trying to set up the trailer here.
And talking about the what you found, were they different trends about new things, new ways of approaching the content? When we were talking about this subject a while ago, you spoke about the Asian way of approaching the content.
Yeah, do you want to talk? You had a point of view on Asian advertising.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see it in our examples.
Yeah.
It's that Thai filmmaking has been something that in the awards has been always incredibly impressive and fun and interesting and very different. And then we see also the filmmaking from Korea, for example. We see that in feature films and TV shows, with Parasite winning Oscars and Squid Game taking over the streamers. So, and we see that in our category too, and we had some great work from the Philippines, and it's not that it's a niche; it's really part of the establishment now, and that was really exciting to see. So that's definitely something that we found.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, it looks like the rule, the old exception became the rule in Asia, if I can say so.
Yeah, I mean it's like when hip hop was a subculture now, and then it's culture. It's similar. I think that's you have these centers of excellence then coming and taking over and being more establishment.
Uh-huh. And then when Pele was the president of the jury, and I was a jury, they didn't say where agency they work for. And the idea is to let them say so and then show you, or share with you, the piece they picked from the entries.
Yeah. So my name is Anna Ballerin. It was on the screen. I am one of the Chief Creative Officers of Wyden & Kennedy here in London, and I am originally from Brazil, but I've been living here and in the US for the last 21 years, so I'm in the ham sandwich camp, I think.
And mine, Pelle Chanel, and I work as Global Chief Creative Officer of Droga 5 from Sweden, has lived in the US for since 2006. Yeah. Should we pick our things?
Yeah.
Yes.
You go first, right? That's what's lined up.
No, I think you should go first.
Is that what?
Is that what's lined up? Okay, it's lined up.
Oh, yeah,
first.
I think
It's
yours is lined up first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, so
you are the first.
great.
Let's
So
not freak out the tech.
I picked a piece. It is Korean, and it is. I think we should look. We're going to look at the case study. It has a longer piece that we cannot show because it was showed in cinema and it's in streamers. So this is a branded content piece that is not a TV spot, but it's very, very strong on product. It's very much of a. It's a great piece of advertising. But it's groundbreaking in the way that it's being made. So let's look at the case study for night fishing, and then I can talk a little bit. And I love your thoughts too.
This is about a 13-minute film that captivated the Korean movie market. Night Fishing, the film made by Hyundai Motor Company. Did you know that a car has more cameras than you think? So we thought, what if we filmed a movie with Hyundai Ioniq's 7 car cameras? The limitation of the fixed camera became a strength, offering a new perspective and adding dramatic tension. Rather than using a massive media budget, Night Fishing was officially screened in theaters. Price? Just $1, matching the runtime of 13 minutes. In an era where consumers avoid ads at all costs, they rushed to theaters to pay for the well-made content of Night Fishing. Naturally, Night Fishing's success led to interest in Ioniq. It is the first case where content fandom ignited brand fandom, driving the highest rise in brand preference since Ioniq's debut.
Yeah, I wish we could see it because obviously that's a plug for you to go see it or find it. But it's incredibly well written. It's shot through the cameras, like you saw, the 7 cameras, and that's not a distraction. It is the centerpiece of the story. It really helps study, and so it's written in an incredibly clever way, and also it has a way to make something that is a product demo, basically, really captivating, so much that you can. I mean, it's $1, but that's also why I think it's interesting and why we found it great. Is that it's pushing commercials into a new space, and obviously there is a category which is branded entertainment, and we're film, or that's entertainment, and these things are blurring nowadays.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes it fascinating.
And innovation as well. You know, it's like such a genius idea. You're going to talk about a car that has 7 cameras as part of its innovation, and you're using those cameras to produce the film to sell the car. It's just like it all goes round in circle and rounds it up so perfectly. But we were judging film, so it's almost, and we didn't see the case study until after we've seen the film, because I think that's an important thing to say, because yes, case studies can be made great in spite of ideas and the actual product sometimes not being that great. And in this case, it is like a 13-minute film that is actually very good. If you didn't know anything about how it was made, you would still be very entertained and captivated, and it keeps you at the edge of your seat. Like Belle said, if you can't find it somewhere, please do watch it. We watched it twice, and it was really incredible, how it held at least our little audience in the room.
I think another thing with this piece is it reaches a criteria of branded entertainment, which is just because a brand did something in entertainment, that's obviously a breakthrough in some ways, but it needs to be as good or better than other entertainment. It can't be because it was a brand. So, and that's, I think, what this did, is that it is something I would want to see.
So it did happen to you that you watched it more as a film than as an advert?
100%.
And you felt in the cinema room.
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And it's an example of the trend we were talking about Asia.
I think absolutely. I think that's a not surprised it came from
Korea.
From Korea, and I think it's just a testament of the film making and from that area.
We were talking about other subject, which is, I need to read some figures from here. AI, one of the biggest subjects these days. And the organization told us that out of 765 pieces entered in film, the film category, 57 were made with AI, which is the 8%. But out of the 53 winners, 2 were made with AI.
I'll correct that a little bit. Used AI as part of the process.
Used AI, yes, of course.
Not exclusively
it was not
made by AI, yeah, we do. It wasn't necessarily a conversation we had in the jury room as we were judging the final product, and not necessarily the input, unless in cases where innovation was like in this film, the night fishing was a big part of it. But we were chatting earlier that it will be interesting. I think it's really interesting that D&AD is asking that info of the entrants and is collecting that data. And as years go by, it will be interesting to look back and see if that number increases or if it stays the same. I think there is obviously a trend that AI is taking over our lives and is, ubiquitous, but it will be interesting to see in this and especially in craft categories how agencies, production companies start integrating AI into the process, and how if it starts appearing more and more, which I think it will be the case. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Pelle?
Yeah, I think for me it's the same. It's a fascinating reflection. I think that similar to in filmmaking, I remember when VFX and digital kind of production came around, and when it in the beginning you see it. I remember seeing, I think it's Terminator, there was 3 or 4 when it's like not great visual effects, but it was like, oh my God, there's a giant crocodile digital, or something like that in it, and you go, they can do that now. And then you get to a place where when it's great is when you don't see it. When it gets to it elevates the filmmaking, but it's not making its presence. It's elevating what is there and making that. So I think we're starting. Obviously, there's a ramp up that's faster now, which I think it's making film better when you can do that. likely what's gonna happen. And now we're in a place where we can spot it and we can see that's used that way, but it's happening quick.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, we're not allowed to say who won. That's going to be known this evening. But we can, I mean, as a journalist, I attended many different festivals in the world. And one of my big questions always is, how is it to be a jury? And how many days you take to analyze, to watch 765 pieces in this case? How long was it, day per day, and how many days you took for it?
It's very tiring to watch 765 pieces of work, which we didn't watch.
Overall, if there is a piece of 10 minutes long.
Yes, and we didn't watch everything together, but we watched it in a pre-jury in our own time. But D&AD estimated that it would take, and I didn't count exactly how many hours it took, but it estimated it would take 30 hours to watch everything. So that's quite a lot. That's almost like a whole week, work
Before
week.
discussing.
Watching, yeah.
Just watching.
Before getting to the room. And then in the room, I think film was one of the categories that had more entries. So it took us 3 days. I think it was one of the few juries that took 3 days to confabulate. So it took us...
So you began?
2 days to get to a short list. So it began on Sunday.
Uh-huh.
And then we had several discussions. I think the short list is the hardest discussion. And then it took us 1 day to get to the pencils. Yeah.
And what about discussing for the medals? How is it? And I mean, the
It's very rewarding because you've seen so much.
Other quarrels or
Fights.
fights?
We didn't have any physical fights this time, but that's the privilege of being part of a jury, is that you come in with your knowledge, but then you both teach and learn along the way. So most of us, I think, you come in with your preconception about a specific piece of work, and then you learn something new, and you get different perspectives, and it changes. It goes back and forth, and you get, you know what someone. There's a part of the group that is like, we know you don't like this one, and then it swings over, and and the argument goes the other way, and you learn new, and so it's a very
fluid.
It's very fluid,
Yeah.
and it obviously is very democratic, because you at the end of the day you vote, and that's what it is. But I think that the best part is, if you talk about the 700, the best part was not to do the homework at home. It was to get to discuss it and to learn and to get to this. So the further you get towards, in our case, towards the yellow or yellows or whatever it's going to be, that is that's when it gets easier, because you had a long discussion about all these things.
And it's a big responsibility in the room as well, because, we all enter work, so you don't want to be, flippant or dismissive in any way of anything that was entered. Everything needs to be considered equally. So I think it's quite important to do. And in every jury, D&AD does a great job of having very experienced juries like Pelle, and then bringing in relatively new people as new to judging. And I think it's nice to have that. I always feel because as you judge more and more, you understand how the dynamics can play out. And I always check myself that I'm not unduly trying to, influence the less experienced. And I also like catching up if there is someone who's more experienced and, talks more, that you're trying not to be influenced by that as well. So it's keeping that your sense of okay, this is what I think is right. It's quite interesting. It's always a journey.
And then we have expertises. We had two from the production side. So when it comes to categories like best use of budget and things like that, you have experts in the room who can add to the knowledge that some of us don't have on those things. So that's also a great kind of the mix of the group. Yeah.
And you talk about learning. Do you remember one or two particular things you learned in this occasion, this festival?
I think it was the ham sandwich was I think was a good one. I think when the one that you're going to talk about is, I think that you should talk about it, but I think there's great learnings from that one.
Can I talk about it?
Yeah, of course.
So this, I think it's interesting. We chose these pieces before we entered into, awards or shortlist discussions, and it's funny. So it's not. There is no like agenda to highlight Asian Asian filmmaking here. But I think this is also a piece from Asia, from Thailand, and it's in direct opposite spectrum of like, so Pelle chose a 13-minute film, and this is a campaign of 15-second films. And I think it's really important in times of short attention spans and small format media buys that we're all getting briefs like this in our agencies to, do a 20-second, a 6-second, a 15 seconds to really celebrate short format, and this is a piece where they really embraced it. So just to give a little bit of a context before you watch it, and we can talk a little bit about it later, is they're films for a credit card called First Choice, and what they're trying to tell is like a very dry message. They're trying to tell the message that you get quick approval. And using the local context of, in Thailand, motorbike taxis are very well used and widespread. So let's have a look, and we can chat a little bit about it later. So there are 3 films.
บอกความในใจเจ้านายให้เร็วเหมือนบัตร First Choice อนุมัติพี่ตัวแมนขอพ่อไปทะเลกับแฟนให้เร็วเหมือนบัตร First Choice อนุมัติไปทะเลกับพี่วุฒิป้องกันด้วยนะง้อแฟนให้เร็วเหมือนบัตร First Choice อนุมัติ
เป็นไรง้อ
The laughters in the rooms say it all, how incredible to be able to, there are like so many parallels, difficult to get approval on credit cards, difficult conversations, quick, the speed of the bike, the speed of the approval, and the dialogues and the comedic timing. It is just a casting in their looks. It's like so much storytelling crammed in 15 seconds. I think this is just incredible. We all been there when you get that short, we need to do a 15 seconds, and you can see the creatives rolling their eyes and already thinking of like a 2-minute narrative that then they're going to cut down as 15 seconds out of it. And I think this is just a perfect example of like really embracing it. And you can do powerful storytelling in 15 seconds, and this is a proof of it, and comedy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I guess this surprised you when you were watching it. The thing I was wondering about is, how does a jury prepare for a jury session? Do you write down something like a criteria list you're going to judge about, or you're open to surprise?
I think that there's a judging criteria that comes from D&AD. One of them is it inspiring? I think the second is it brilliantly executed? And the third, is it fit for purpose? So I think everyone has those criteria around their heads at any given time, and we bring it up. It's on screen, so we're always like, checking back on that. But yes, I think you have to come with the ability and open to surprises. I think what was personally for me when I first watched this piece, this campaign, what it surprised. I think it's you because of all the reasons I said earlier on, the rolling of eyes. People are very quick to dismiss short format, and I think it's surprising when you have like such craft, good quality of writing, of comedy, of casting in a 15-second campaign. So yeah, it is surprising in a way.
Yeah, I think another thing that's not on the rules on how to judge, but something that's very useful, at least to me always, is the envy meter. That when you watch something, you go, fuck. Sorry, I shouldn't say that, but you go, oh God, I wish I had been part of that.
Yeah.
You just know, you feel it the and you go, okay, note that down. That's because it's unplanned. It hits you, right? And the other one is awe, that you just when something makes you haven't seen it before, you get you just go. And in this case, for me, the great example you brought is I think it's the envy one, when I just go, and for me it's also the going. Circle back to the Thai filmmaking. They're so good at the humor and the absurdity and the thing, but it's also when it's straight on, great clear message. It's just very good.
Mm-hmm. And you said that people dismiss show formats. When you say people, you mean the public or professionals?
I think not dismiss. I think there's always like creatives want to indulge and do the 2-minute director cut and the big production. So I think that's what I mean by dismiss. I think the public appreciates when it's short and it works.
And
cake on cake you can use too. Don't have time for many cakes when it's 15. It forces you to be sharp, right? Which is great.
And we're about to finish. We have 2 minutes left. And the last thing for me is, what emoji would you put on the judging sessions in the D&AD 25 this year when you go back to your countries, to your agencies?
An emoji? Wow, that's an unexpected question. I would do a yellow heart, D&AD themed.
For these particular sessions, I mean, these sessions...
The jury sessions, yeah, I think it was just like a lovely experience, yeah.
Yes, that's a good one. The yellow heart, and then there is a yellow pencil emoji. So put that one.
Okay.
I'll put that one right next to it, I think.
Didn't expect that.
What would you put on your experience in D&AD? No, I know, but what would you put in this experience?
A heart, but for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Of course. I mean, I'm done with the questions. There's 1 minute left.
Can we do questions? We can open up.
Let's speak about what you want. I'm done with it.
Okay. Great. Thank you.